Peace, family. So I'm back with another one. Today what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk to my chosen ones about how they live a double life and how you should be who you say you are going to be. They live in double lives, and a lot of people aren't being who they say they are. And first I want to start with just, I see all the comments and engagements. I appreciate all the love and light y'all be sending. Y'all send a lot of love and light. And I always sift through to see which one really sparks me for how I should kind of give the lesson back outwardly. And I have one comment down below about how I'm a male and how I perceive women in Western society, and how I mention all the different forms that they choose to use and do, right? But I'm a man. As a man who grew up, you know, just without certain structures. I don't really want to call it the street life or being outside, you know what I mean? But whatever ideology or words fit better for you, fit, you know what I'm saying? I was outside. I still did my schooling thing, right? But we all know that when you in these streets, you still got rules and laws to follow. They aren't written down by the government, you know what I mean? So when these things are happening and transpiring, for me personally, if somebody that I knew was a snitch or a rat, I would not hang around them. I wouldn't mingle with them. I wouldn't engage with them. I had several that I used to engage with that they end up getting in a situation, throwing some people under the bus, and I stopped engaging with them. The weirdest part was when they tried to engage with me afterwards, right? Because now I have to be harder and cut that shit completely off. In my world, in my walk of life, I've never been mixed up with snitching before, because I don't hang around snitches. I don't conduct myself like a snitch. See, this is where everything gets mixed up at in these cesspools. You know what I mean? And because there's so much emphasis put on it, like, I'm never gonna stop engaging with, like, I'm never gonna lose hope in life or lose my faith in life. You know what I mean? So that goes for certain associates, certain family members, you know, certain, you know, the opposite sex, you know what I mean, male counterparts, all of these things. I'm not one of them people that lose faith and hope, but I do address what's happening out here in today's society. And what's going on with a lot of the witchery is a lot of these beings want to dress and look like witches, but they don't want you to perceive them as witches. I couldn't be mad with a group of guys if they see me hanging out with one snitch or a bunch of snitches and they all labeled me a snitch. I shouldn't be like, oh, well, you should come and talk to me first or get to know me to see if I'm a snitch. That's no different than if, you know, it's a whole bunch of police officers right there. I'm not a police officer. I'm in a security uniform, right? But you just come walking past, you mistake me for being a cop because I'm in uniform along with the officers. That's how our processors work as far as trying to come up with answers and solutions as far as what we're seeing, so we don't have to dive too deep in. A lot of these witches out here want you to seem like you are unintelligent or you're too intelligent to be addressing certain topics. Either it's numerous of times or minimal times, you know what I mean? And for me, I got a daughter coming up in this Western society, so I have to put extra attention on learning certain things so that way I can be adequate as far as helping guide her and show her different avenues as far as what's happening, what's going on, which road she can go, which one she can take. She can take all of them. You know what I mean? We got free will and free choice, but I'm trying to show her the one with more obstacles, but it's gonna have a lot more fulfillment in that space. You know what I mean? And it's hard to make a transition in this Western society and to get things to where they need to be at when we're trying to figure out how to mask certain things, hide certain things, live duality lifestyles, and you know, just not being our organic self. So, like I was just saying before, like, if I'm interested in women, right? Not duality, just I'm interested in women, and I want to have one or a family when I get older. I have to figure out what women like, what women don't like. Then I have to apply these attributes to myself. Not tell myself, hey, most females don't want a man that wears a skirt, but you know what? I'm gonna wear a skirt anyways, and I'm gonna make them like me. If you don't like me, then you're not for me. This is the witchery and debauchery and delusion that's going on right now. Clearly, everybody over in this space is pretty intelligent, so we can all understand that, all right, we are all connected to some sort of degree. It's people in Amsterdam, you know, Australia, all parts of Africa, all parts of South America that I've engaged with. And we all have similar lifestyles, either upbringings or currently where we're at to this day. These beings are the ones that I am almost 1,000% sure are exactly who they say they are. These aren't the beings who are living a duality, a double life. When my homeboy is with me, he the best basketball, he want to be basketball player, he talk basketball when he with me. But then when he not with me, I don't know, let's say like he like to go get his nails done or something. It's just opposite. It's not anything wrong with getting your nails done. It's just opposite of what he's continuously giving me. Now, it's a difference between two people communicating, engaging on familiar grounds. You know what I mean? Familiar grounds meaning, all right, he like basketball, I like basketball, so every time we talk, we engage about this. But it's a difference between actually living that life and then doing something completely different when you're not around these beings. You know, and that was just from a male standpoint. I've had certain female beings who, you know, oh yeah, I'm not a fan of makeup and all this other stuff that I was just mentioning, weaves, nails, lashes, all this witchery stuff that they got out here, because apparently we're so uncomfortable with ourselves that we have to do these things and then make excuses for why we have to do them. You don't have to do them. Anybody I ever engaged with on a long-term scale, it was because of who they were. And 10 times out of 10, these beings already wasn't naturally in a lot of that stuff already. So that's just for me personally. But I've had certain beings who, in my presence multiple times, won't wear it. But when they're not around me, they do their thing. They put pounds of it on, lashes on, the whole 9-10 yards shebang, you know what I mean? And half the reason why I know is because sometimes when they Snapchat me or they FaceTime call me, they'll have it on, the first thing they do is apologize. Hey, my bad, I got this on. You know, it's just a little bit. And I'm like, you ain't got to apologize to me. For me, I understand, like, if we aren't trying to get to our highest frequency in our most natural state, then what are we doing? Because the only way we can get there is by pushing ourselves and overcoming some of our own insecurities and obstacles that we have in place. And a lot of beings are out here living a duality life. You know what I mean? They aren't walking the life that who they say they are. They're pretending, they're masking, they're hiding, they're doing different things for attention, to fit in. And this is where we have the issues at, because if this is something you want to partake in and do and live a duality life, you could just keep it over on that side. You don't have to introduce it to me as if like you're tricking me, or as if I'm unaware, or I don't see these things, or it's not happening. I had a handful of male associates do some weird stuff in the process. You know what I mean? Just with guys, it's more about like it's more based on the actions and the actual walk of life. With the females is different because we're different. we're just fucking different. I know people hate hearing this and seeing this and talking about it and discussing it, but we are different. You know what I mean? I don't teach my daughter, you know, certain things that I was taught growing into this vessel that I'm in today, because she's in a different vessel, and her vessel come with different qualities and attributes, and she actually get a boost to some attributes being in Western society. So in my world, in natural law eyes, it's like, why would we have to go through all of this artificial uncomfortability stuff in order to present ourselves a certain way when we're saying this is who we are? If this is who you are, then be that being. But we're in a weird society where it's like it's all chaos. It's like a cesspool. So if you don't want to be labeled a snitch, then you don't hang around snitches on your free time. I never been labeled anything in that category. So for me, I never had to deal with other beings be like, yo, hey Trak, yo, I heard you was over there with such and such. Oh, you know that nigga, right? Oh, you chopping out with that nigga? Oh, well, I seen your name on some paperwork or blah, blah. It never been that case, because I don't get mixed up with that kind of stuff. And we can put a numerous of other examples in place. I'm a heterosexual male. I like women. I don't hate the other side, you know, that plays the other side, but I don't hang out with them in my free time. Now, if I had a best friend who, or a group of guys who I hung out with all the time that like men, when people saw me, they would automatically assume I was a part of that crowd. Why would they need to get to know me to see, okay, you're not a part of that crowd? No, we process, we judge, we label, we do all of these things to kind of, I wouldn't say it's a form of protection on like a high level, but on a low level, because everything is a recipe, you know what I mean? But I would put it more so like, what's a good word for it? This is, the English language never do us any justice for when we're trying to express ourselves. I would say, it's hard for me to even go down that road, because I don't live this damn long, and I don't have groups of peers that, you know, that's part of the alphabet community. I know associates, you know, I had girlfriends that they quote unquote best friend was a guy that was gay, you know, so that shit didn't bother me. I'm not one of them people who walk around, you know, with a wedgie all day, face tight, insecure, down to the ground. Now, not saying that I don't have my own shit that I go through, because I am far from perfect. But what I'm saying is I've always been pretty confident in my walk of life. And this all comes down to this: you have to be and walk the life that you are wanting to live. And even if you're not there yet, you should still be putting yourself time traveling there in your inner space. The more time you spend traveling there into the future and lining all the steps up and seeing yourself doing these certain things, the more power you're putting into it, and the faster you will bring it into this realm of reality. But we gonna deal with a lot of beings out here that's living a life of duality, or they are looking to pretend that they're using duality. Really, they're just walking one way of life, which is the witchy way, and they want to make it seem like the duality side is, oh hey, I'm righteous, you know, I know about the sun, the moon, rising, Libras, and you know, astrology and numerology, and you know, all these things. But you could know all of this stuff, but if you walk into, let's say, Bodo's, it's a bunch of firemen in there, all in their fireman suits. You don't walk in with the group, but you do walk in we're all gonna assume that you are with that group. Why would it be our job to go up to each person individually and basically say, oh, hey, are those real? That's like when people get implants. You either just gotta assume that they're real or not, or just not care. It's not really that serious, but these are just being used as examples. Like, it's so many beings out here that's making excuses for why they have to blend in with the witchy team, why they have to live a life of duality. And for me, that's just not a legitimate excuse if you're moving with Creator or the Most High. You know what I mean? And that's something that I'm always going to give pushback against. It's always going to happen there. I don't care if nobody don't ever deal with me. You know what I mean? I still got a whole nother journey to go on to once I leave this one. I'm just supposed to do my part. And clearly the universe says you don't get your flowers until you leave this realm. Spiritual flowers. And they're long and lasting spiritual flowers. They aren't like the ones I can just go pick up outside right now and then they look good and they only last for like a week or two. And even saying that just, it's so weird being in society, because men getting women flowers used to be a thing because we actually had to go out and find the fields that had these flowers in it. You had to travel around to different locations to personally handpick these flowers. Now you can just make a call. Hey, yeah, I need a dozen roses sent over to Susie at Petco. You know what I mean? I don't know if that's where she's working at. I don't give a damn about no Susie, but I'm just saying that's how unfulfilling a lot of these things have become. A lot of these gestures that we do now. And society is too weird to keep trying to make excuses why you gotta blend in with the other witches. In my world growing up, we only used to assume pounds of makeup with RuPaul. I'm 38. So for me, like, it wasn't pushed in my face when I was younger. It's being pushed now, but you can hear back in the music back then. People used to put emphasis on RuPaul. Now you go outside and almost open up a social media and almost all the females is looking like RuPaul. You don't know the difference between RuPaul and a regular female. But in the female's eyes, they're like, hey, well, yeah, you just gotta come up and talk to me to figure out if I got balls or not. And I'm like, that's too much. It's easier for me to judge and perceive when I can see your natural features without the witchcraft on there. I don't see beings with witchcraft or doing witchcraft like, oh, I wonder what they look like without it. To me, it says that, okay, you spent at least 20 minutes to 2 hours putting this on and lining this up. And it just gets weird to me that it's always someone that has to comment about making it okay to still hang around snitches. You know what I mean? If somebody, like, it's gonna make me give another example. I don't have to give another example. If you don't want to get mixed in with the batch, stand out from the batch. Don't live a life of duality, meaning you're playing both sides of the fence. You're riding with the witchy team, but you're claiming to be righteous. You have to pick one in the middle of this war, because us over here on the righteous side, we're pushing your ass over to the other side. If you on the fence, we pushing your ass over to the other side, because you shouldn't be on the fence. That's how we all feel. You should not be on the fence. You should not be riding over here, but you're still riding over. You know what the beings over here is doing? Anybody that's on the fence, they're pulling you to their side, and then the ones that's already riding with them, they're getting moved up to different levels on the witchy team. I know I just gave a lot of different examples as far as, and y'all probably thought I was going somewhere different when I mentioned, you know, people living these duality lives, you know, opposite of each other. Living is the opposite of Dying is the opposite of living. A lot of these beings are walking zombies. We're moving around, we're living life. Even if you don't have everything figured out or have all the answers. You know what I mean? These are just still some things that it's like, why would you not want to make life easier for everyone, let alone yourself? If you're making it easier for yourself, naturally that vibration projects, and then you start making everything around you run smoother. It becomes easy. So we just got to be mindful of this weird witchy world we live in of duality. I know a lot of people see black and white, but the way I'm perceiving duality, you have the witchy side, you have the God body side. You know what I mean? We can talk about the other sides of the duality, but when you take it deeper down into the roots, I'm not looking at the tree. I done start digging around the tree and I'm looking at the roots and how they structure and how these roots connect to that tree way over there, which connects to that tree way over there, and they're all feeding each other. You don't see trees out in nature and life just dying. They're sharing. They're taking care of each other. The biggest tree could be absorbing all the nutrients, but it doesn't. It shares. You know, when you see a tree, you can tell the other trees because they all look like trees. But as soon as you see one of these 5G towers and then they put the fake tree around it, you can tell the difference that, okay, that's a fake tree. That tree is not a real tree. Let's get back to being more organic and being more natural. And we have to have a better starting point from somewhere. We have to have a better starting point. That means that we have to grow more comfortable and secure within ourselves. Meaning that we need to put the work in. A lot of things that people say are hereditary are not hereditary. It's just you don't take care of yourself the same way that the ones before you didn't take care of themselves. They be like, oh, high blood pressure runs in my family. It's like you just are living the same life that they were living. So of course you're going to be more susceptible to it because they lived that life. Now you are living that exact same life. So it shouldn't be no surprise whatsoever. They be like, oh, well, you know, cancer runs in my family. It's like, yeah, everybody's on the same dieting plan. Everybody is eating the same thing. So it would make it easier for that deity to hop into your body and do the same thing to your vessel. We have to be mindful of these things. I know a lot of this shit is hard because a lot of it, when you growing and maturing and leveling up in these spaces and raising your vibration, a lot of it hurts because you have to look at yourself and realize you have to stop doing a lot of things, and it's hard to stop all of them at one time. It's hard to stop all of them at one time. So just being realistic in Western society, all of the aesthetics, that's the bare minimum. That's the bare minimum stopping. That doesn't even have anything to do with any of the other habits that, you know, transpire or take place. You know what I mean? But I didn't want to run up too long. Tapping everything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.